Bravo, Mr. Cruz. Bravo. You brought it all together and put a nice bow on it. What a fantastic run with the Mission Impossible franchise. And I'm here now to talk about the 8th installment, the final chapter of it all. And that's no other than Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. Let's jump into the review of that right now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the final installment of the Mission Impossible franchise, and that's Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, coming to theaters May 23rd. This film is available in IMAX, and certainly that's where you want to see it, because if you know Tom Cruise, he's very passionate about the movie going experience and definitely seeing it in the biggest and best screen available. Now, there's one really unfortunate thing with this film, because I think this film absolutely made a claim for itself to be nominated for the achievement in stunt designs. Unfortunately, that won't be available in the Oscars until 2028. But man, we all know Tom Cruise performs the stunts, and I really felt like when it came down to this film, it was a big thinking session of, okay, so what has no film ever done? And they're like, okay, cool, so we're going to do that. And that's exactly what it did. I mean, from the zero gravity, from the deep depths of the water to the zero gravity in the air, they nailed it. And it was so much fun to watch. Let me just get out some of the production stuff really quickly. But, you know, the score, thoroughly enjoyed it. Cinematography, I mean, if you're going to have zero gravity scenes, you got to have a camera that's going to be able to follow it. And then, of course, from all the action, the stunt designs, you know, the scenic locations that they use, and Tom Cruise performing the stunts himself, all fantastic. I would also say that this film probably could have been a horror film in some aspects of it, because from feeling claustrophobic, from moments of you grasping for air yourself, constantly looking over your shoulders for what might come. I mean, they really nailed it on that note, but certainly didn't deliver with all the Mission Impossible tropes, which means there was a lot of Ethan Hunt running, like a lot of running. And yes, when it comes down to it living up to its title as Mission Impossible, endless moments of that is completely impossible. And then they did that beyond it. So for all you folks who have something negative to say about the Fast and Furious, about, oh, that's just unbelievable, I definitely feel like that Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, entered the chat. Like, for real. And let me just say, Tom Cruise is a complete lunatic. All the different things that he does as Ethan Hunt, I mean, let's just be honest. What will go wrong, what can go wrong, will go wrong. And yeah, they lived up to that moniker to the fullest extent with this one. But truly with this film, it was a love letter and a reflection to the fans, to the cast, everybody involved from all the good times, all 8 films, really splicing in so many moments from the past. And while they do connect the current storylines and they do have good callbacks, it definitely just a moment to kind of sit back and be like, wow, this was such a fun ride, a fun journey for the viewers. And they nailed all of the iconic moments. And it just gives you the feel. And like a lot of this happens before the title screen, just to be honest. But I definitely think that even throughout the entirety of the film, they did a really good job in the callbacks, the Easter eggs, and how they were relevant now, which involved so many good moments, so many good sayings, even characters returning. So they really nailed it to bringing this full circle and putting a nice bow on it. I will also say, if you're not a big Mission Impossible fan, I may also say that this isn't bad as a standalone film, even though it absolutely is a direct sequel to Dead Reckoning Part 1. But like, I felt like if you come into this just because of how they edited the film, just because of all the callbacks, all the references, and actually using the footage from those films and moments, that you really aren't not in the know of the different things that they're talking about. So when a certain person recalls a certain event, they're like, well, here you go. Here's that event for you. And even with that too, like the film is long. It's close to 3 hours. But they definitely do not outstay its welcome on certain scenes. I felt like they did a really good job in hitting scenes and then moving to the nets and just keeping things going. So I love the pace of this film. And I also will say with the storytelling, the dialogue, they definitely throw in the humor. They definitely keep things kind of invested as well, because sometimes you can get too lost in the midst of what's happening and like, you know, what's the stakes involved, what's the characters, emotions and stance on everything. But then you add the humor and you're just like, you know, okay, cool. Now, another fair warning. This is definitely some things that I've seen people ask in other reviews of mine is about, you know, sometimes people ask, is this good for, is it kid friendly, et cetera, but one thing that some folks do reach out to is about the use of flash and strobe effects. And I got to tell you, in the very beginning of this film, there's a scene where somebody kind of gets knocked across the head, and you know, there's a whole saying that your lights get turned off. They had this little strobe effect to it, and you will feel that. I was like, whoa, I don't hope we do this the whole film. But there's definitely a few moments very early in the film that they do. So just bracing yourself for anybody who may suffer or deal with any of those type of effects. They're definitely in there. And then, as I said, a lot of with the callbacks and everything, like they do it a lot, but they definitely don't overdo it. They do it in a good way that makes it in very relevant moments. Now, in terms of like the fight and all that other good stuff, there was a lot of implied violence, and put an asterisk next to that, because there was definitely moments, especially one in the very beginning of this film, that you're like, I wish I could have saw that, especially if you want to see good fight choreography and you want to see, you know, all the stunt works and ultimately how somebody ends up laying on their face. They gave you the implied version of it. You wish you could have saw it, and I wonder why they decided to go that route. I would have loved to see it. Oh, and I didn't even mention what this film is about, but I think it's very clear for most of you all, especially the ones who've seen the previous film. It's really man versus AI. The AI entity is learning, it's growing, and it's definitely about to reset the world, removing all of life itself on the planet, unless the group can stop it by retrieving some things and the relevance of it, and you know, connections to things in the past. Way going back, not just the last film, but there's other connections. And again, you don't have to worry about this because they will absolutely give you the visuals and understand what it is. But it is 100% about the crew and them stopping this AI known as the entity that is trying to basically have a doomsday and destroy all mankind as we know it. What else can I say? I guess some of my favorite scenes. There's a lot of them. One with a jump out of a plane into the depths of the ocean. That was really, really cool how they shot that. I thought that, first of all, I would never do it. So Tom Cruise, very much a sicko, but it was so cool how it was shot. And everything that's pretty much happening underwater is just kind of mind blowing. Let me just say that. But there's tons of super cool moments. Even the parts towards the end of the film where you're on the plane, or as you may have seen in the trailer and some of the promotional works, those little small cargo planes, I believe they call them, or little fighter planes, whatever they call them. Very good aerials with that. And obviously we know Tom Cruise in this work with Top Gun, so of course you know when they get in the air it's going to be spectacular. Now I gotta tell you about a newcomer here, and some of you all may know him from the popular show Severance on Apple TV Plus, but Tremaine Tillman as Commander Officer Bledsoe. For the moments he's on screen, he lights this film up. He is must watch. You almost wish you can have a lot more of him, but I mean, this is already 3 hours. But man, he is such a treasure, a pleasure to watch. And when I saw he was cast out, just like, oh, you know, quick cameo, blah, 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 blah. But I just gotta say, truly, for the moments he's on screen, he makes them count. Such an enjoyable character. Good banter with Tom Cruise. Wait till you watch. Tom Cruise, again, when I've talked about some of the things that you've just never seen in any action film or something ever, have you ever seen a film where somebody gets hit by a moving submarine? You do the math, folks, if you get what I'm saying here. But yeah, I swear there had to be a conversation. I'm saying like, yo, what has never been done in a film before? Cool, we're doing that. And you know, much like I said, for the folks who aren't big fans of the Fast and Furious franchise, because of the inability to extend disbelief, 100% do they do that here. So like, be fair to both franchises, because Mission Impossible definitely do so many moments where you're just like, impossible, but that's the reaction that they want. Just like Fast and Furious wants you to be like, there's no way. And that's what they did. That's what they execute. That's the engagement that they have. They take the word impossible and truly go way beyond that. And again, from the production wise, from the cinematography, the score, the zero gravity stuff, both in air and underwater, is just so good. Now, the asterisk I said about the implied violence, it was all the way until maybe the 11th hour that there's a scene where it's jaw dropping, because I'm like, oh, they went there finally, but holy hell, was that something, you know? And then I got to give another joke here. There's a particular character. I don't even want to give anything away, but there's a particular character that I'll just say this, you know, for me, and I say thank you to the folks that did this film. The black guy almost dies in the film early. And then he almost dies at the end of the film. And I just want to say thank you for not pulling that trope. We didn't need it. But Dan was out like, oh, here we go. And they definitely didn't execute. Think what you want, but I just got to say, and I'm not telling you who, because there's multiple black people in this film, black guys in this film, but there's that. And while I'm at it, let me just say, too, that Ving Rhames' character, Luther, what a fantastic story, character arc that they gave him. Truly did they appreciate his work on this film and the character in this film. And sometimes the character was just kind of a supporting character, but they made the character so rich, so relevant, that I thought they did a tasteful job in handling his character. And it definitely is it's really dope how they did it. Last but not least, man, if this is truly the end, which I hope it is, they did a great job with just putting a nice bow on it, a cherry on top. There is no mid-credit or end-credit scenes, and that's good. That's where we need to be at. We don't need anything more. I think they did a great job in giving us these films over the years, and it never felt like it was too much. It never felt like they outstayed their welcome. I thought they just really decided to wrap this up at a perfect point, and everybody will be absolutely pleased with how they handle this. So from all the folks in this film that came together, Greg, Esai, Holt, Angela Bassett, Katie O'Brien, Simon, Nick, Palm, Haley, Hannah, all these folks, and of course Tom Cruise himself. Fantastic job. Bravo to you all. Thank you so much for what you all have been able to do for us over these years and bringing this franchise to life and giving us some of the best stunts and action and suspense in a franchise ever. And I got to proudly say that Mission Impossible is definitely one of the most iconic franchises. It is of the likes of James Bond and others I won't mention because I know y'all going to hate. But yes, Fast and Furious as well too. But this is definitely a nice, good period at the end of the sentence to leave it off on. So 100% go check this out. You will have a great time. For it to be close to 3 hours, yes, because of how the different parts of the film, the phases of the film is split up, you will say like, all right, that's phase 1, that's phase 2, that's phase 3, etc., etc. But like, definitely do I never feel like it dragged to a point where it's just like, oh my God, more, how long is this going to be? I thought they just did a great job in keeping the pacing good, entertaining, engaging, and then ultimately giving us a third act that brings us home, that gives you everything that you love about this franchise and leave you on a positive note, even to the point that you probably want to go back and watch them all just to watch this, though. You will enjoy it. And also, again, thank you for not killing the black guy first or last in this rate. I just was okay with not going with that route. That typical trope. But yeah, check it out, folks. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. It is in theaters May 23rd. Jump in the comments, folks, once you check it out. And as always, stick around for more reviews and content here at Big Go Bill Media very soon. Thanks for watching, folks.
I